Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry it's got delayed. Again, the password has changed yesterday. So any doubts on the last class, what we have discussed? Today we are talking about withholding tax invoice process. We are going to discuss. Fine. These are the setups we have to perform initially. So let me do this option first. We are going to create a withholding tax authority as a supplier. So that we know already. It's very simple. Go to suppliers. So we don't have the access to the supplier manager role. Log in with this user, Kelvin Roth. Same password, it will be like go to navigator, procurement, suppliers. Task list, create supplier. Otherwise, what we have to do is we need to assign the supplier manager role. Yeah. Fine. And only one change what we'll do is go to invoice tab. We are supposed to mention the invoice currency as whatever we required US dollar, because the withholding tax will be created automatically and payment method must be enabled, or which payment method you would like to have by default. Okay, and then go to site assignment, and we will go for assign this particular site to the US1 business unit. I'm going with existing business unit. After creating the supplier address and sites, then go back to supplier profile. Another change what we have to do is select supplier type as tax authority here from the profile tab and go for submit. Then after supplier is done, the next step is we need to create a payables calendar. We are supposed to create the payables calendar over here it is. Okay, so go to the task, manage. So you can see this user is just a transactional user. This user is not implementation user. You can't do the implementations. Setup and maintenance, we don't have the access. FSM is not there. Functional setup manager, we don't have. So this user can perform only transactions. Means create supplier, create invoice, create payment, search. This type of things can be done. He cannot do the setups, because it doesn't have the access to the IT security manager and application implementation consultant. So we must log in with Phno MPL user. This is an implementation user. So here we can do the implementation setups. But in our username, what we used to do, our user used to have both. Means we used to have the transactional as well as the implementation setups. Both roles we used to assign. Go to the task, manage payables calendar. Manage payables calendar. Select your business unit. For which business unit you would like to define this calendar? US1 business unit. It's showing me too many matching records found. It's not a problem. Already we have monthly calendar, quarterly and weekly. I'm creating the new one. So it's asking me this calendar you want to use for payment terms or for general purpose. We can also define the calendar, like accounting calendar is different. This is payables calendar is different. This is used for payment terms also. Payment terms you want to use or you would like to use for general purpose. Right now we want to use for general purpose. Withholding tax. Okay. So then we are going to mention from which date it is going to be starting. So it's a monthly 12 and we would like to start from January 1st. And if you want to change the period information or something, you want to go for generate the periods, it will generate the periods also. It's monthly period we selected and 12 periods per month we have selected. From which date? From 1st January 2019. Or if you required for old, we can go for select also. Previous date also. So it will generate that previous periods also. If you want to go for add the new years, you can go for add years. So we created an payment calendar. This error message is common, so we don't require that. So it is defined up to 2021. Because right now we are in 2019, right? That's the reason I have done it for 3 years. Okay, so that is minus payable calendars. So after setting up payable calendar, next we need to go for setup withholding tax options. We are going to set up withholding tax options over here. It is. Manage tax reporting and withholding tax options. So this is the task. Open this and select your business unit, for which business unit you would like to do this. We are working for US1 business unit. Select the task. Now this is manage tax reporting and withholding tax options. Okay, if we look at here, for this event class is already there. So you would like to go for create the withholding tax either for standard invoice or for prepayment invoice. There will be two types only here. There will be only two types event classes. You want to do this for standard invoice, or you would like to go for prepayment invoices. So my requirement is only for standard invoices, we would like to go for generate the withholding tax. Okay, so this is already there. So the both options are enabled, because if you are creating your own business unit, right now I am in US1 business unit, so it has got already options here. It has got already options. If you create your business unit and your ledger, obviously you don't find the event classes here. You are supposed to select standard invoice. Okay, that we would like to go for set up these options, and calculation point where it has to calculate the invoice, tax invoice amount. Yes, it has to calculate that invoice, where it has to go for round at a header level amount. Whatever header level amount is there, that we would like to go for calculate the tax. For example, I want to calculate 15% as a withholding tax. 15% as a withholding tax. Let's say you create standard invoice for 1000. Automatically 1500 will be generated. Withholding tax will be generated 1500. So this is all options you are supposed to select. Just you have to select event class as a standard invoices. Standard invoices. That's what we have done, the setup withholding tax invoice. Next we are going for tax codes. Now go to the task, manage tax codes. Let me create the tax codes here, withholding tax codes. Select your business unit, select the country, and tax code resume. So we can select, or we can go for create our own tax code resume also. So whatever tax code resume name we can specify here, then tax code resume. That is just name of the tax code. That's all. It's valid from so and so date. Then tax also we can create withholding tax here itself. So we'll specify the liability account here. Withholding tax liability account number is 21525. Then tax authority means the supplier, whatever we have created, gens or supplier, and we can choose the site here. So this is how we will go for create withholding tax here. So we are mentioning the just name of the tax, from which date, which currency, which liability account it is supposed to, because when the invoice is created, obviously the liability account will be generated, right? So here it will be specified here. And then we will choose the supplier and as well as the site, so that the invoice will be created automatically. Then tax status, standard tax will be using. So after that, we will go for define the period rates. Okay, tax period rates we have missed here. Go to here. How much percentage? This. And from which date it should be started? We can mention from 2018, 1st January. So what we have done right now, we defined the tax code. Tax code we have defined. Then we have to go for tax group. We'll call it as a tax classifications. In Fusion, we will call it as a tax classification, whereas in EBS, we used to call it as a tax group. We used to call it as a tax group. Go to the task, manage withholding tax classification here. Just now we created our tax rate code, right? So whatever rate we have selected, that we are going to specify. So we can see the resume code, everything has been attached. Next, we have to assign this tax classification to the supplier. We need to go for assign this to the supplier. Again, we can't do the supplier here. We have only manage suppliers and import suppliers. You don't have the access to the supplier manager role. So what we are supposed to do is, let's log in with the user called Calvin Roth. Let's search for the supplier. Go to manage suppliers. Go to Sites tab, select your site. After, go to the site assignment. Here we have to do this. But right now it's not going to allow to modify this because you are not in the edit mode. We are not in the edit mode. Select edit option. Select your site and edit. Go to site assignment. Here we are supposed to check this enabled checkbox because you are not done at supplier level. First we have to enable at supplier level. Go to profile tab. Here we have option income tax. There is a checkbox here. You are supposed to enable. Check this checkbox. use withholding tax. It means you want to use the withholding tax for this particular supplier. Select this, and then you are supposed to select the tax group name, whatever the tax group we have created, tax classification just now, tax classification or tax group, whatever name we have created, attach this. Then go to Sites tab. After save this, go to Sites tab and go to the Sites and edit. Now you can see it will allow you to enable. Earlier it was disabled. Now it will allow you to enable it. So first supplier level we have to enable and add the classification. And here we are going to attach the classification. This is how we can go for assign our supplier classification. Indirectly supplier tax we are going to attach, withholding tax. This is how assign the tax group. Whatever we have created, that we are assigning to the supplier level and site level. Two levels we have assigned. First enable at site level, supplier level, then automatically it will allow at site level also. It will allow us site level also. Now we'll go for create an invoice. Now we don't have the access to create invoices from here, I think so. Yeah, we have it. I think payment we don't have, only invoice transactions we have the access. Let me create an invoice here. Select your business unit. Select your supplier. $1,000 is the invoice amount I'm creating. It's telling me needs revalidation. What is the problem? There is some variance in the line level. System is on hold. Okay. Line variance, total invoice line does not equal. Okay, fine. There might be taxes. Tax might be calculated. Yes. So what we have to do is, let me go to taxes tab. So we'll be discussing about taxes later. Right now I'm removing all these taxes here. Now it's validated successfully. Then after that we will go for go to manage invoices and search for the supplier here. Now we can see two invoices. Actually, we created only one invoice. That is standard invoice for 1000. Now it's showing me that there is one more invoice here, withholding tax invoice is created automatically. How much percent is 15%. This is a type is withholding tax. Of course, still it is not yet validated, and we are supposed to go for validate these options. So the moment whenever we create a standard invoice for this supplier, automatically system will prepare withholding tax, because already we mentioned this is a tax authority and we already added the tax classification, tax rate, this all right. That's why it will be creating. Now the withholding tax is created and validated successfully. So this is how we can go for configure the withholding tax for a particular supplier. The moment whenever we create a standard invoice and validate the invoice, automatically withholding tax will be created. Okay. So you can go for practice this. I have updated the username and password. You can go ahead with that. Okay. So, and for this financial IMPL user and Calvin Roth, these two users, the username is this one, but don't change this because somebody might be practicing this. Copy this and you can create, you can use BAN user, ban.ban, it's working. But if you want to test it immediately from US1 business unit, then you can go ahead with this, what we have done today. If you want to with your own ledger and your own business unit, then go ahead, create your own username and prepare the ledger and all this. Okay. Thank you. Let's see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll see the pay alone tax, bills payables tax options here that we'll discuss tomorrow. Thank you.